My name is Watson.
And my name is Mariah.
We're 12 years old.
And we're representing Old Redford Academy Middle School.
And we're here to talk about drugs.
Drugs are very dangerous and unhealthy.
And they can also ruin a relationship with your loved ones. Go talk to a family member, a friend, even a teacher, or you can go to a therapist, or if you need any extra help, you can go online and find all of those.
Hashtag not worth it.
I'm fabulous. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy. I'm fabulous.
Young cat got back, did a little bit. Now we hardy, puffy, tough, do-rag and Tim's. Kinda hard to get a job back out on the block. Charge that to the game. Young girl, she grew up in a rush. Had it bad, no doubt. She don't know who to trust. Every man she ever loved only wanna crush. Charge that to the game. But it's all gravy. Hey, baby. Shots get popped, the cops shut down the party. Jeans sag low, blow smoke out of the trees. We've got a lot for y'all, which I don't know.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Expose Under the Sun, brought to you by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. I am your guest host, Darwin Griffin, and I am very, very pleased to have a couple of special guests on the show. But before we get started, I just want to say that I am so pleased that they rescued all of those young men and their coach in Thailand. And it makes me proud to know that God is awesome for him to be able to go and get all those people out of that cave safely. But our hearts go out to that one diver that unfortunately lost his life as a result of when they were trying to attempt the rescue earlier. So our hearts and our prayers go out to that family as well. But, you know, I'm praying that all those young men and the coach are going to be healthy and that they will be able to go and think about this as making certain about the human resolve. To be trapped for, I believe it was, 18 days that they were trapped. And that's a long time. But, you know, I think about some of the things that they had to endure and some of the things that we take for granted sometimes because they had to go and actually lick the sides of the cave to be able to go and get any type of nourishment to quench whatever thirst that they had, even though they were trapped and there was a lot of water that they had to go and get through. But that was their only source of nourishment, was just to lick the walls of the cave. So again, God is awesome. So happy that they were able to get everyone out safely and there wasn't any additional loss of life. So again, continue to pray for those young men and their coach. But today, I'm so happy to have on my show today my special guests. And to my left are Chitara Hunter and Elma Carey. Welcome to Expose Under the Sun, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
But what I'd like to ask you both is just to kind of give our viewing audience and our listening audience a little bit of history about Chitara and about Elma.
You go first.
Of course. Well, I'm a native Detroiter. I went to Detroit Public Schools, graduated from Mumford High School.
The Blue School.
Yeah. Spent most of my life in Northwest Detroit. And after high school, went to Ferris State, which is now Ferris State University, and studied educational administration. And after I graduated from there, I went to the University of Michigan and got a master's degree in educational administration. So I've enjoyed all of what I did. I always loved to teach. My mother said I had a little group on the back porch always trying to teach. I'm 2 years old and they're 10, but they were doing what I told them to do, she said. So I've enjoyed my career as an educator. I'm still involved, and I'm very, very happy to be here, Darwin.
I'm
Thanks for having me on.
very, very appreciative that you were able to come. Ms. Hunter.
Okay, so my name is Chitara. I'm also a native Detroiter. I graduated from the once Murray Wright High School. It's no longer there, so I'm really sad about that. I ended up going to school in Maine, originally for marine biology and environmental science.
Marine biology.
Yeah, I like
That's
everything
what I
in
wanted
the
to be a
sea.
marine biologist. But go ahead.
I learned that I like to play with them more than I like to cut them open and study them. So I ended up coming back home here and went to Wayne State, where I got a degree in sociology, law, and a minor in Japanese.
Wow.
Yay.
You say a minor in Japanese?
Yes.
You know, it's interesting when you hear someone say that they got a minor in Japanese. So you can speak some Japanese?
Hi, so that's Nick.
I'm sorry, what was it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you could pretty much like, so can you say my name in Japanese?
It'll still be Darwin. It'll just be
It
Darwin.
would still be Darwin, but just extenuate or on the syllables
Yes.
of Darwin.
Yes.
Okay. So can you say good afternoon to the audience?
Hi. Konnichiwa. Pretty much good afternoon.
Okay. Ms. Carey, are there any other languages that you can speak aside from just English?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, okay.
I had to take French, but I can speak no French.
Oh,
Come
that's
tell
what-
you,
that's-
come
that's
tell
what I
you, how are you?
Right. So, what was your what propelled you to want to go and learn Japanese?
I honestly always felt if you go to a different country, you should know some of the culture, some of the language.
Mhm.
And for me, I always just wanted to see the cherry blossoms up close, like where they're from, not in Washington or not on the side streets. I haven't been yet. It's still a dream, but at least if I get lost or something, I can ask my way.
So, I guess the thing that I wanted to find out was that we want to talk a little bit about education today. And I know, Elma, you say you got your master's in education, correct?
Yes.
And Chitara, you said that you graduated from Wayne State, and what is your discipline and what is the studies that you studied at Wayne State?
I studied sociology, Native American law, environmental law, English, and Japanese.
So with the different law courses that you studied, what do you want to do when you get older?
I'm already old.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You still have a long way to go.
I would really like to help preserve the reservations because government slowly every year tries to find a new way to take more land that was already given.
Mhm.
So I don't know why I said given because it was theirs to begin with, but I really would just like to go in and help them be able to maintain what they have. I don't think it's fair that it's always some kind of clause somewhere to try to take something away. Like with the whole Standing Rock thing, and they
Mhm.
tried to build the pipeline, which they know would be dangerous. I don't like things like that, and I want to fight for those people.
So when you say you want to fight for those people, you want to represent them in a court of law?
In the court of law, yes. Out there picketing with them, yes.
Okay.
I would say burn down buildings, but let's not do that. But I'm with them all the way.
Protest.
Yes, protest.
Now, because I know
Let's do
there's
it
a lot of
peacefully.
people that, you know, I was talking to a group and I was telling people the difference between rioting and protesting. You know, you definitely don't want to riot. But if you want to do a nonviolent protest, that's the best, you know,
Action.
way to get people encouraged or engaged in whatever the action that you're trying to take. But there's a difference between then and now. Now you see more young persons, are they more so involved in trying to protest, or are they trying to rebel or riot? And I guess I'll throw that question first to you, Elma, you know, from back when you were, you know, teaching in school. What did you find, like, when students were in school and they had disagreements with teachers or with some of the things that were going conditions, things like that? What did they do compared to, then I'll ask you, Chitara, what are young people doing today?
I don't think things have changed that much. When I was teaching, or even before that, because I was arrested a couple of times in protest myself on the college campus.
What
That's
were some of
just
the issues that you were?
racism, not getting the same privileges as the white students on campus, not being able to use the facilities for us to have a place to be together. And it was always one excuse after another.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at Ferris, we decided, okay, if we can't use the student union or anything like that to be together, then we'll have to create the scenario where we can. And so out of that came the Kappas, the Alphas, the Deltas, and the AKAs. So we started all of those groups. My roommate and I was an AKA and she was a Delta. That's how much we cared about each other, not about really the sorority, but that was a means to an end. And so we created all of those. So we did. We got a chance to use the student union, and we had parties, and we had balls, and we had a really good time. And even today, we still get together. It's wonderful.
Okay, good. Okay. Now, our show is live, and if you have any questions for Chitara or for Elma or for myself, that our calling numbers are area code 313-868-0342, 868-0351, and 868-4336. And our website is www.tv33whpr.com. And you are watching us on either channel 91, Comcast, or on TV 33. So, Chitara, now, are you also in a sorority?
Yes.
Can you tell what sorority you're in?
I'm
'Cause I know you say you're an AKA, correct, Elma? Okay.
I'm an LTA, Lambda Theta Alpha Latin Sorority Incorporated.
And what is the premise behind, you say LTA?
Yes.
What is the premise behind LTA? Because I know AKAs, I know they've got a resounding history in a lot of college America. What is it that LTA pretty much like? Is that a group of ladies that primarily goes into what type of discipline?
Especially, basically, education.
Okay.
Our principles are unity, love, and respect. So we try to put that into everything that we do for the community. Ours started similar to the AKAs and the Deltas and Alphas and all of them, but it was different for the Latina culture. But this was in New Jersey.
Okay.
So we started in New Jersey. But it's really cool because even though it's a Latin-based sorority, the founding mothers, as we call them, they were a very mixed group. We had Afro-Latinas, African-Americans, even a few Caucasian. Everybody pretty much helped make that sorority. So I think it's really cool.
Okay. So now, does it exist in a lot of the universities all over the country, or?
Yes. And we're growing every day.
That's good.
And I think it's really cool because it's not too old of a sorority where we can still be able to meet our founding mothers.
Mm-hmm.
They just had a convention in Miami, and they were able to meet the founding mothers, and they're really cool and down to earth, and I like that.
Now, what are your
I'm in a
colors?
time where I can. Burgundy and gray.
Oh, okay. That happens to be a coincidence that you happen to have burgundy and gray on today.
Yes.
And I know the AKAs are pink and green, right? Okay. Now, so what are some of the things so Elma, you were saying that some of the things that you protested back
Well,
in the day.
you know, we had those sororities and those fraternities for the sole purpose of being able to utilize the space there on campus.
Mhm.
We also started an NAACP, and that was the method by which we protested.
Okay.
We
Okay.
used the NAACP, and we took over the student union one
Now,
time.
when you say took over, what do you mean when you say took over?
We went in, all of us in mass, so there was a lot of us on campus, so we were all there, and when it was time to leave, we would not leave until the last minute, and we decided we were going to go one step further, and we went to the school administration building. And I don't know how we got in there. I don't remember, but I know we didn't tear up anything, but we went inside and we sat down Indian style and just waited for them to come and get us. We knew they were going to come and get us, but we needed some attention to be brought to the way we were being treated on campus.
Now, I'm going to sound like a novice. What do you mean when you say Indian style?
Cross-legged, sitting on the floor.
So when they
In
went
the
to...
president's office, we touched nothing. We just sat down and waited for them. We knew they were coming.
So when they tried to get you to leave, did they actually pick you up while you still had your arms crossed and your legs crossed?
No, we complied with their directions. When
Okay.
they said, get up, they took us to jail. And so we went, they didn't abuse us physically. But one of my sister's little friends was on campus, and she came back from the weekend, and she couldn't find anybody. She was horrified. And then she found out what had happened. And she called my mom and told my mom that we were locked up. My mother got on the phone and called Coleman Young, who was our mayor at the time, and my mother told him that my dad and she were on their way up there, and implored her not to go. He said the state police are going to be all over the place, so just stay. He said, I'll call you back. He said, I promise I'll call you back. So my mother complied with what he requested, and sure enough, he called her back. And the next day, everybody that was somebody was on that campus. The NAACP was there. Coleman Young sent all of his people, and we had to go to court. They told us what to say, and it took some time, but eventually we got all of that expunged from our records, and we were very proud of that because it made a big difference. And then it became time for homecoming, and we had an African American running for queen, homecoming queen, which was me. And it was fun. It was fun. And I wasn't really interested in that kind of thing, but we did what we needed to do to support each other and to make a difference. And so they were all very pleased that I was running, and surprisingly, because there was only like maybe several hundred of us on campus out of thousands, but we got enough votes. I think every one of us voted to get me on the court. That was amazing.
So you were actually on the court.
On the court. My little black face on the court.
Representing so many other black females that were attending Ferris State.
That's right.
And that's in Big Rapids, isn't it?
That's in Big Rapids.
How far is that from Detroit?
It's about at least a 3 or 4 hour drive. I don't remember the miles. But
Wow, and you said that they had people from all over.
it's not too far from, what's the resort, the black resort?
Shea Lake?
No. I can't think of it. It'll come to me later. But anyway, it's not too far from the resort,
Okay.
the black resort that's up there. I know your listeners are probably yelling it out, and I can't think of it. Yeah.
Well, I'll ask if there's
Yeah.
somebody that's listening. I know it starts with an I.
Idlewild.
Right.
That's right.
I knew I would help you with that part. Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
Idlewild.
sometimes it's so funny, and they made that movie,
Yeah.
Idlewild.
Yeah.
So, Shatar, now, what's the difference between now? What do you see that they do on campus?
Honestly, it's not much of a difference because you still have the people who do the peaceful protests who will sit down. You have the people, I like to put it up in threes. So you have the people in my generation who decide to just sit down and protest.
Mm-hmm.
You have the violent protesters who are like, oh, we're going to destroy stuff and take back what's ours. And then you have the social media protesters. They're the ones who, oh, I'm going to just change my Facebook picture to show that I support this, or oh, I'm going to just share an image to show that I support this. So they go about it different ways, but I think what's great and what's a big difference between now and the past is that we have social media. So it's a quicker way to spread your cause or spread what you're fighting for, or just anything.
Inform.
Yes, but the problem with it is there's a good side and a bad side. The problem is people get stuck on it, and that's all they focus on besides going and looking at facts on their own. I always encourage, like, okay, you see this, but did you read this or did you read that to kind of confirm, deny kind of thing? So it's good and bad with protesting now, but the general basis is pretty much the same.
Because it seems like now you see people with their cell phones videotaping everything
Yeah.
that goes about. And then, like you're saying, Chatara, they will post it on Facebook so that everybody can see it, compared to, Elma, like when we were in school, yeah, we might have went to the student union and then sat down, you know, to keep people from going or coming through or going in. But there was no video cameras. You know, we just had the Kodak or the Polaroids,
Right.
the
That's
tape
right.
pictures, you know, still pictures, compared to you actually having volume,
Mm-hmm.
sound, and what's happening today
Makes a
when they
big
videotape
difference, too.
something. So you can hear exactly what was said, so that when somebody comes to remove you, you got documentation about what had been said and what somebody may be saying to the people that are actually protesting.
Everything is the same. It's just different ways to go about it. But the end cause is still there.
Well, now, do you think that then what happened then, like Elma, you say you were arrested, correct? And they had to bond to bail you out of jail. Now, do you think that the punishment still befits the whatever the offense was compared to today? Because, you know, that's just like back in school, you know, in school now. You have a lot of children that may commit an offense in school that may be disciplined, and sometimes that discipline is a whole lot harsher than what actually the child may have done. And so do you think that there's fairness in the way that children are disciplined then? And the same thing with adults.
Well, see, that scenario was dealing with racism.
Mm-hmm.
That town had no black people in the town. Big Rapids was an all-white town. And we relied upon each other. So when we decided that we were going to resist, we were going to bring some attention to how we felt we were being treated, we had a core group that did the planning, and I was one of them. And in fact, I was the president of the group. But then I thought, and sisters, please don't be angry with me, but I thought we should have one of the fellows to be the leader, not me, you know. And so together, he and I would talk, but he would be the face of the group. And so
What made you think that it should have been a fellow? It should have
the
been a fellow?
times, you know, we hadn't had our women's movement yet, and I just felt that the powers that be would probably take him more seriously. Plus, he was a little bit older than the rest of us. Take him more seriously, and plus, he came from Grand Rapids, and his dad was politically connected as well.
Okay.
And so, and you know, we oftentimes spent time with them. So it was like, you know, because of the times. I wouldn't never do that today and tell a woman to step back and let a man, especially when the group had decided they wanted me to be the president of the group, you know. But I was still right there with him, and he consulted with me. We talked, you know, we worked it out.
Right.
But he was the face of the group from that point on.
Well, you know, that's something, especially like with the Me Too movement that's going on. You see a lot more women that are the face of, you know, what's going on. So, Chatara, what do you think about this with the Me Too movement?
I like it. I like it, but I'm also a bit intimidated by it because I'm intimidated because you feel very sympathetic for the people in the movement because they're actively speaking about sexual harassment. They're actively speaking about things that go wrong with them, and I'm intimidated because it's like they can fight through this, and I'm complaining about, oh, I didn't get my Starbucks or something. So it makes you really take a step back and think about how you're living your life when you see these strong individuals come out and say like, oh, I was molested, or oh, I was raped, or whatever, and they're able to actively say like, but I still have control of my life. I think it's so cool that they're able to do that, and so brave, because I don't know if if I was ever in the same shoes, if I would be able to do that, or if I would crawl into a hole in myself. I don't know, because I haven't had that experience. But the fact that they can do it is just so awesome.
Elma, what do you think about the Me Too movement?
You know, I hate to say it, I don't know a lot about it. I'm listening to what Shatara is saying, and I haven't been keeping up with it. I'm sorry. I haven't been keeping up with it, I'm sorry to say. But tell me what it means, Me Too.
Okay, so basically, it's a sexual awareness campaign
Mhm.
in a way, because a lot of people were talking about just getting molested, getting raped, and the fact that it was a big issue with
Oh,
the person coming out.
yes.
And everybody said, like, this happened to me as well.
Mhm.
So
I remember now.
don't look away from it, because it's actively happening, and it shouldn't be shied
And
away
it has
from.
happened to so many. You'd be, you know, the statistics on it would be horrifying. I don't know what they are, but I have run into so many. There really are not a lot of, and I thank God that I was not a statistic, but there are many. If you're in a room full of women, half of them will have had encounters, you know,
Yeah.
whether it was a stranger or a father or someone they thought was a friend. And I remember the guys at Ferris always looked out for us. I don't know where they got that from, but they did. They always looked out for us, made sure we were safe. You know, we'd go to Idlewild sometimes and have parties, and they would make sure that we got there and we got back. They really looked out for us, and we just took it as the norm. You know, when I look back on it, it's like, wow, we were vulnerable, but we didn't feel vulnerable because they really did take good care of us girls.
Now you have the campus police. Every university has a blue button where you can call and ask for help if there's an issue. They also, I know in Wayne State, if you call and say you need an escort to your car, they'll escort you to your car, and all the police or security there were trained by the actual police. So it's really like, oh, let's be safe.
So you say that there are ways to notify other people, to let people know if you are concerned about your safety.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. And that's something that they probably should have had a lot more of, you know, back in the day, because I think more people probably would have been more active to let people know about what happened or what's going on.
Well, the miracle was, and on our campus, I don't know what was happening in the other culture, but we didn't have those kind of issues. I guess we had some wonderful young men up there, because we didn't have those kind of issues where girls were complaining about being mistreated or taken advantage of.
Well, I think that people need to make certain that if there is something, there's a lot of other people that may share some of the things that have gone on, you know, with you. So.
And we had rules too. The girls had rules. I have to remember that. We never went any place alone. So one of the other girls was going to go with you. If you had to go to the restroom, whatever it was.
Okay.
And so I don't know where we got that from, though.
Well,
Nobody taught us that.
times
It was
and
just
things
God,
have
I
changed.
guess. Yeah.
Well, I just really want to say time goes by so quickly. This probably could have been another half-an-hour show, but I appreciate my special guest today, Ms. Elma Carey, Ms. Chitara Hunter.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you again for, you know, for speaking up, especially to kind of educate a lot of persons when it comes down to the Me Too movement, as well as just how life was back, you know, in the day, and how it is presently, you know, how if you do have issues. But you are, if you'd like to be a guest on our show, or you'd like to advertise in the Detroit Native Sun newspaper, which can now be picked up at Kroger's supermarkets, you can contact Valerie Lockhart at area code 313-457-5944. And we look forward to you joining us next week, same time, same station, and peace, love, and make sure that you are a blessing to others. Thank you again for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm fabulous. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy. I'm fabulous.
Young cat got back, did a little bit. Now we hardy, buffy, tough, do-rag and Tim's. Kinda hard to get a job back out on the block. Charge that to the game. Young girl, she grew up in a rush. Had it bad, no doubt. She don't know who to trust. Every man she ever loved only wanna crush. Charge that to the game. but it's all gravy.